Together, hand in hand, let us preserve the unity of our beautiful country, Cameroon.
This is a message from Royal FM, the listeners' radio.
The time is 2 p.m. Wonders! So it wasn't a fake?
Oh yes, 0% transfer charges and only 1% withdrawal charges. True. Use Max It.
Orange Money.
Subscribe to Masuk for a strong and prosperous economy.
The 2PM Newscast
with
Mapala Zita.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM. My name is Mapala Zita. Our top stories. Rural women facing the challenge of climate change and access to productive resources is the theme under which rural women in Cameroon joined their peers the world over today to celebrate the 30th edition of International Rural Women's Day.
The rural woman feels the challenges of insecurity. Her activities are not secured. Her activities are primitive.
Out of Cameroon, Kenya's top opposition leader Raila Odinga has died in a hospital in India. And in sport, Cameroon will face the Democratic Republic of Congo on November 13th in Morocco in a game which will shape their qualification path to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, those were the headlines.
2025 presidential election, a special page in the news.
And joining me with our special page is Evans Williams Njobati. Good afternoon to you, Evans.
Good afternoon, Mapala Zita.
After candidate Issa Chiroma Bakari auto-proclaimed himself winner of the just-ended elections, some political parties have been reacting to this outing.
Yes, Zita, the Cameroon Liberation Movement, under the leadership of its president, Dr. Success Nkuko, issued a formal congratulatory letter to Issa Chiroma Bakari, claiming the people made their choice. Same thing with the Popular Action Party, when Jang Dennis published an open letter saying the polls had spoken. As for the SDF, Joshua Osei openly acknowledged his defeat but urged everyone to wait for the official proclamation of the result by the Constitutional Council. Kabalibi, on his part, cautioned Cameroonians not to be carried away by election results circulating on social media as they have no official validity. The presidential candidate stated that his party subdivision in charge of collecting polling station reports is still carrying out its compilation work. On the other side, the UPC of Honorable Bapoli Pot condemned the illegal auto-proclamation declaration from the FSNC leader. In a press briefing yesterday, the senior official of the party stressed on some previous declaration from Issa Chiroma Bakari during his campaign. Here is an excerpt of his interview in this soundbite selected for us by Political Desk editor and editorialist Jean-Marie Aneba.
Instead of waiting for the result of the presidential election of 12 October 2025, Issa Chiroma Bakari, a candidate for that presidential election, declared that he's the winner. This is something that UPC denounced and invite all Cameroonians to not take this into consideration, and that the only institution which is supposed to give the result of that election is the institution put in place by the state of Cameroon. During election campaign, he said in Bamenda that he recognized he had connection with Ambazonian leaders, and that he also invited them to take care of him during his staying in Bamenda. And from that, we discover what he has as idea concerning this election. That's why we came out and invite all Cameroonians to not follow Issa Chiroma Bakari program or position.
Moreover, the Cameroon Bar Association has asked Elecam and the Constitutional Council to respect the will of Cameroonians by demonstrating integrity and transparency in the handling of the 2025 election results. In a statement signed by the Bar President Mba Eric Mba, the association urged the two institutions to demonstrate the highest sense of republican duty, integrity and transparency in handling the electoral process, stressing that the will of the Cameroonian people must not only be heard but fully respected. Batonye Ba expressed deep concern about these excesses and denounced intimidation pronouncements and including those emanating from institutional authorities, as well as a toxic publication observed on various media channels and social media platforms, warning that such actions threatened peace and undermined public confidence in democratic governance. And Zita, in a recent outing just reaching our newsroom, Issa Chiroma Bakari has raised alarm of FSNC Bafusam representative being forced to sign falsified results. In his speech, he cited discrepancies between polling stations reports and administrative copies, hence called on judges, Elecam and the international community to ensure transparency and uphold the will of the people. Chiroma warns that any proclamation based on falsified documents cannot be recognized by the population. Zita.
And as the Constitutional Council is yet to reveal the identity of this year's presidential elections winner, Evans say Cameroonians have been anxious since the polls closed last October the 12th at 6 p.m.
After the elections ended last Sunday, October 12th, with some voters witnessing the counting of votes in some polling stations, Yaoundé city dwellers we encountered shared their diverse views with the recent happenings in the political life of our country. Take a listen to some of them.
My vote is supposed to be very impactful because my candidate is able to attain more than half, according to stats that are coming from these polling stations. We are talking about what we are able to see on videos, on pictures, not what somebody will claim that a particular 1,800, 2,000 is coming from a particular village without evidence. We are not going to be counting on that. Let's be rest assured that you want to tell us that this polling station produces results. You should be able to give us the videos. Let us see. We don't want to work on imaginations.
And those that did not vote explained that they had lost any faith that the process was fair and transparent and could usher in the change that the country needs. Actually, I didn't go in for 2025 presidential elections because when you look at the Electoral College, I do not have confidence with them. That's why I had to restrain my civic engagement, because if you look at the past years since 2011, 2018, nothing has changed so far. There's inflation, prices of goods and services are actually skyrocketing in the market. So I see no need as a vote, which I feel there will be absolutely no change. Absolutely. I don't feel change can come via the ballot box.
Added to this, political analysts say the Cameroonians are just waiting for official results from, even though the social media has already chosen a winner. Jodzika Kenyoy is one of them.
Interestingly, what we are seeing, supporters of the ruling party, is completely different from what happened 7 years back when the elections, the presidential elections, held in 2018. I still remember quite well when the main challenger at the time, president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Maurice Kamto, when he declared that he was the winner of the election, Issa Chiroma Bakari at the time too was the Cameroon Minister of Communication. They came out with a statement of which they said that no, Kamto cannot declare himself winner when we have not seen results from the northern part of the country where they believe that it was President Biya's stronghold. But this time around, tables have turned, and we are seeing a situation where the alliance that existed between the National Union for Democracy and Progress and the Cameroon National Salvation Party, it has been dismantled. And these are the key allies of President Paul Biya who were actually giving him some kind of a lead in the three northern regions. We know that Elekam normally hardly put up results even at the level of the region to the public, because most of those results are only handed to the Constitutional Council.
And as the Constitutional Council is expected to receive appeals from candidates within 72 hours, which ends today at midnight, after this process, the proclamation of result is expected to undertake 4 steps. First of all, the local polling commission forwards original copies of reports to the head of the council branch of Elekam for filling according to Article 115, Section 3. Secondly, they be forwarded within 48 hours following the closure of the polls to the chairperson of the Divisional Supervisory Commission in Section 4 of the same article. Thirdly, the National Commission for the final counting of votes shall carry out the final counting of votes in according to Article 69. And finally, the Constitutional Council shall adopt and proclaim the results of the presidential election within no more than 15 days of the close of the polls, this in conformity with Article 137 of the Electoral Code. Zita.
2025 presidential election, that was our special page in the news.
And still to come in this newscast, we ask Cameroonians just how often they wash their hands on the occasion of Global Hand Washing Day.
Well, I'm not really a hand washer. It's not like I don't wash my hands, but I don't do it frequently. Sometimes I'll prefer to eat with a spoon or a fork, so that I can eat with my hands, just because I don't want to wash my hands.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you are listening to the 2 p.m. news on Royal FM. Today, October the 15th, is Global Hand Washing Day, a global advocacy day dedicated to increasing awareness and understanding about the importance of hand washing. This year's theme is slated Our Hands, Our Future, which encourages both individuals and organizations to make hand washing facilities, soap and water accessible for everyone. But just how much have Cameroonians cultivated the habit of hand washing? Our reporter Ngang Nadesh spoke to some of them about the hand washing habit and compiled their views in this Vox Pop.
I wash my hands before cooking, during the process of cooking, after the toilet, after doing some work around the compound, even after school, because there are germs almost everywhere. So I wash my hands often.
Ever since the outbreak of the coronavirus, I had to make washing of hands a habit. Because it was not actually by my will, but my parents forced me to start washing my hands regularly, at least 8 times a day. So since 2020, till now, washing of hands have been like a regular activity. I cannot really say how often I wash my hands, but I make sure before and after every activity, I wash my hands. For example, when I'm done with workout or I'm done with sports, I wash my hands. Before I do anything, I wash my hands. So washing of hands is like a very frequent something, but I cannot give a specific number, because if I'm to give a specific number, I could say it should be at least or about 8 times a day.
Well, I'm not really a hand washer. It's not like I don't wash my hands, but I don't do it frequently. Sometimes I'll prefer to eat with a spoon or a fork, so that I can eat with my hands, just because I don't want to wash my hands. Sometimes it's just because I don't want to touch water. I'll be like, that water is too cold. I rather just use a fork than for me to wash my hands. But other times, like when I'm from working, something really dirty, I have no choice but to wash my hands. And also, most of the time, before I take my bath, I first of all start by washing my hands before I start bathing. So those are a few times I wash my hands. But when it comes to washing hands before eating, most of the time, except that really extreme and I have to wash my hands. If not, I'll just use my fork and eat with it.
And still on the commemoration of Hand Washing Day, our reporter Ngang Nadesh sat down with an expert who explains how to properly wash our hands and the importance of hand washing.
Martha Courage is a state-registered and senior nurse. She begins by explaining the steps to follow for proper hand washing.
Firstly, use clean running water to wet your hands. Apply enough soap to cover all surfaces of your hands. Rub your hands together to create a lather. Make sure you scrub your palms, back of your fingers, between fingers, under nails and rings. Scrub for at least 20 seconds. Then you rinse thoroughly. Rinse your hands well under running water to remove soap and germs. Then lastly, you dry your hands using a clean cloth, towel or air.
Hand washing is a vital habit for maintaining public health and well-being, as it plays a significant role in the prevention and transmission of infections.
In the prevention of illnesses, effective hand washing removes germs and bacteria, significantly reducing the risk of infections. Reduction of disease transmission. Many diseases are transmitted through direct contact with contaminated sources or people. Regular hand washing breaks the chain of transmission. It is also important in food safety. Proper hand washing before handling food prevents foodborne illnesses. It is essential in both home and commercial kitchens.
The practice of hand washing not only protects individuals but also safeguards vulnerable populations who are disproportionately affected by infections and require extra protection. Martha Courage once again.
Hand washing also protects vulnerable populations. Infants, elderly, and people with compromised immune systems are at higher risk of infections. Hand washing is a crucial protective measure for these groups.
According to the World Health Organization, hand washing with soap can reduce the risk of diarrheal diseases by up to 50% and respiratory infections by 16 to 21%. By adopting this habit, we can significantly reduce the burden of infectious diseases and create a healthier and safer environment for everyone.
From one international celebration to the other, Cameroon joins the rest of the world today to mark the International White Cane Day under the theme Vision Beyond Sight, celebrating independence, resilience, and recognizing achievements of the blind. Since 1964, the day is set aside to celebrate the lives, resilience, and achievements of the visually impaired community and to raise awareness about the role of the white cane in the mobility and safety of blind persons. Rural women in Cameroon joined their counterparts around the world today to celebrate the 30th edition of International Rural Women's Day under the theme Rural Women Facing the Challenges of Climate Change and Access to Productive Resources. This year's theme highlights the interconnected challenges of climate change, food security, and limited access to resources like land and credit for rural women, according to the United Nations. In the meantime, activities to mark the day in Cameroon will take place in Sambenge, Sanaga Maritime Division of the Littoral Region, under the auspices of the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Therese Abena Ondoa. Now in Cameroon, rural women are crucial to the nation's agricultural and food production chain, though they face significant poverty and gender inequality. As the world celebrates these women today, October the 15th, 2025, Jeffrey Tachum collected the insights of an economic expert on their challenges and possible ways through which the government could support their activities and make them more visible. Here is his report.
Going by the description of Chumolo Eugene, the rural woman secures food for the society, is a housewife who maintains the family, and above all, is an economist activist. But for the experts, it is unfortunate that the rural woman in Cameroon is being marginalized and her activities diminished.
The rural woman feels the challenges of insecurity. Her activities are not secured. Her activities are primitive. Her activities are not recognized by the government and by many. They are being neglected. They are being humiliated. And as a result of that, they have not been given a place in the society, though we are celebrating them.
Every year on October 15th, The world celebrates International Rural Women's Day in recognition of the decisive role played by women in rural areas. But in our African settings, their efforts towards food security are not supported by public authorities. Just what can be the starting point towards the valorization of these women in Cameroon? Jamo Haiwa is an economist at the Cameroon Economic Policy Institute.
To support these women, the government should strengthen inclusive land policies, facilitate access to financing, and promote technologies adapted to rural realities. Programs like those of UN Women and Minade, aiming to integrate women into agriculture, are models to be expanded.
Meanwhile, Chumulu Eugene advocates for more effective government intervention in initiatives by rural women.
Provide modern tools for this rural woman to be able to carry out her activities. The government needs to reduce conflicts in these rural areas. The government needs to maintain development in these rural areas. All this will help the rural woman to boost her morals, to be able to pick up her activities and move on with them smoothly.
Rural women in Cameroon represent about 17% of the agricultural workforce. Unfortunately, they face major challenges, including limited access to quality seed, lack of formal land rights, and inequalities in access to loans.
On to education. Today, October 15, marks the official reopening of professional education institutions in Cameroon. These learning centers provide students with adequate skills required for our contemporary society. Details in this report with Glory Ngange, who spoke with a professional school teacher.
Victor Kindefu is the Regional Pedagogic Inspector for Philosophy for the North Region and a lecturer. He begins by highlighting the circumstances that surround the professional world today.
When you go to the job market today, it's not a question of what you have, it's more of what you can do, because most of our companies today are not just looking for people who have certificates, but they are looking for people who are able to put the skills that they have acquired into practice to be able to meet needs.
In order to produce graduates who can meet the demands of the job market, professional schools offer diverse practical studies in several fields.
Graduates are exposed to different skills, computer science, computer engineering, and graduates who leave from this school can easily adapt and easily be integrated into the economy. They'll be able to become software developers. They'll be able to become web designers. There's the opportunity for networking opportunities, which is made possible by professional schools.
Professional schools, especially the popular ones, create links for graduates to easily get integrated into some structures. Victor Kindefu once again.
Most of the best students from some of the departments, professional oriented, like the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, like banking and finance, on graduation days, officials of these different organizations or companies would come and use this as an avenue for them to actually source and recruit some of the fine minds, fine brains, and those who have actually acquired the skills needed for their companies.
It is worth noting that the Bissau University Institute is one of the professional schools in Yaoundé offering professional training in fields like journalism, medicine, banking and finance, among other fields.
In more education news, the rainy season has brought about additional workload to parents, especially of pupils who return from school dirty on a daily basis. The situation which has sent parents searching for ways to deal with the task. Some of them share their strategies in this Vox Pop compiled by Glory Ngange. Take a listen.
We've been facing a lot of difficulties during this rainy season, especially just this morning. At times, you even end up not going to lift your child in the morning, and even after the rain, early in the morning, taking your child out, you will have to maybe carry your child on the back to cross some areas.
Children always dirty their uniforms, whether you like it or not. What I usually do is that I make sure when they come back from school, I take their uniforms, I wash them. I may even wash their uniform 3 times a week, because the important thing is for them to go to school being neat, shoes clean, uniform clean, socks clean, everything.
You have to wash the uniforms at times. They don't end up getting dry. You have to use iron to dry them.
I make sure my child leaves home early to avoid rushing through puddles, and even when it rains in the morning, he has his raincoat, he has an umbrella, and I pack extra socks and a small cloth for quick cleanup when he reaches school.
In the morning, I give them rain boots to wear. Their white socks and their black shoes, I put them in their bag so that when we arrive at school, they change and they wear their shoes so that they can look neat.
The Mamu Hospital Complex will this Thursday, October the 16th, that's tomorrow, and right up to Saturday, October the 18th, organize a 3-day event to celebrate Pink October, a month set aside to raise awareness on breast cancer. During this period, there will be free consultation at the hospital complex, as explained by Bekoa Messi and Denise Bertin, midwives at the Mamu Hospital Complex. They spoke on the microphone of our editorialist and Director of Informations, Abel Bella Samari.
À la sensibilisation du cancer du sein.
When the Black is dedicated to raising awareness of breast and cervical cancer too, the Mamu Hospital Complex has organized a day starting on the 16th dedicated to free consultations, general consultations, gynecological consultations, even prenatal ones. It is for all women. It is free of charge from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Même prénatal, c'est pour toutes les femmes, c'est carrément gratuite de 8h à 15h. Et ensuite, maintenant, le samedi, nous avons une marche sportive qui est organisée.
And then now on Saturday, we will have a sport walk which will be organized from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And starting at 4 p.m., we will also have a round table on the theme of working women and health, which will be led by Professor Ngoso from 3 p.m. 5 p.m.
Animé par le professeur Ngosak de 15h à 17h.
Out of Cameroon, Madagascar's military coup leader has said in a statement today that he is taking the position of president. Colonel Michael Randrianirina, who led a rebellion by soldiers that ousted President André Rajoelina, said he expects to be sworn in as the Indian Ocean country's new leader in the next few days. Randrianirina had earlier announced yesterday that the armed forces were taking power in Madagascar, capping weeks of protest against Rajoelina and his government by mainly youth groups. He has stressed that he will be taking the role as head of state after the country's High Constitutional Court invited him to do so in the absence of Rajoelina, who fled Madagascar following the uprising. Kenyan opposition leader Raila Odinga, a key figure in African politics, has died at the age of 80 during a trip to India for medical treatment. Local police and hospital officials in the southern Indian state of Kerala confirmed today that the former prime minister, who as opposition leader had waged 5 unsuccessful presidential campaigns between 1997 and 2022, suffered a heart attack. Odinga was a dominant force in Kenyan politics, and his death will leave a significant leadership vacuum within the country's political opposition ahead of elections in 2027. China has increased the maximum hiring age of some civil service positions for the first time in 3 decades from 35 to 38 years, a move that aims to keep older workers in the labor force longer and bolster a shrinking workforce. Authorities announced the revision on Tuesday ahead of the opening of applications for the National Civil Service exams today. Candidates should now be between 18 to 38 years of age to apply, while the age limit for those with master's or doctoral degrees has been extended from 40 to 43. We talk sports just after this break. Sportsman Biwa Brian has joined me. Good afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon, Mapalazita.
We begin with basketball. FAP and Overdose basketball clubs are currently in the Democratic Republic of Congo for the Women's Basketball African League qualifier.
After several weeks of preparation, both Cameroonian representatives are now set to compete in Zone 4 of the 2025 Women's Basketball Africa League qualifier in DRC's capital, Kinshasa. They will compete against champions from the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Central African Republic and Gabon for the lone ticket to Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire for the final competition. With their previous experience in the competition during the last edition, basketball consultant Yves Tala is confident that a ticket to Abidjan is possible.
Our representative have chance to get the qualification for the final phase. Despite the bad result of last year, we remember that our two teams were eliminated from the final phase. We got the chance that FAP finally got a white card to be at this competition. But right now, things seems different because I guess that FAP has a very good team this year and they have higher good players coming from Nigeria. They did a great season, national season, and they got experience from the participation of the last Basketball Africa League. Over those, a good team, well coached by Coach Dassi Asha with a lot of experience. We remember that with Coach Dassi got the qualification in Kinshasa, and now he's with his team over those.
In football, Brian, you see all hope is not lost yet as the Indomitable Lions still have a chance to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon have kept their 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying hopes alive, although having missed out on automatic qualification. After finishing second in the CAF qualifying group behind Cape Verde, Cameroon has secured a spot as one of the 4 best runners-up in the African zone alongside Nigeria, Gabon and the Democratic Republic of Congo. This performance propels them into a continental playoffs, a mini tournament set for November 13 to November 16 in Morocco, where the Indomitable Lions must first overcome the Democratic Republic of Congo in the semi-final match, with the winner then set to face the victor of the Gabon versus Nigeria tie. If this happens, Cameroon will then head for an Interconfederations playoffs against teams from other continents to bid for a spot in the 2026 World Cup.
Brian, you say Africa already has all 9 representatives for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
The African continent is said to be well represented at the expanded 2026 FIFA World Cup in USA, Canada and Mexico, with a record 9 nations having secured the automatic qualification. The final round of the CAF Group's qualifiers concluded with a mix of established powerhouses and history-making debutants clinching their spot for the global showpiece. Veteran contenders like Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria and Egypt all successfully navigated their groups to qualify and are joined by West African giants Ghana, Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire. Meanwhile, South Africa returns to the global showpiece for the first time since hosting the tournament in 2010. The biggest story in the qualifiers is perhaps the historic qualification of Cabo Verde, the Iceland nation who will make their debut at the 2026 World Cup. While all these 9 countries have already qualified successfully, a 10th African team could still qualify for the said competition via the Interconfederations playoff tournament set for March 2026.
It is now time for me to welcome Doreen Bimi into the studio with a summary of this newscast in the French language. Bon après-midi, Doreen.
Good afternoon, m'appelle Zita. La journée internationale des femmes rurales se célèbre ce 15 octobre 2025. Une journée mettant en lumière le rôle et la situation des femmes des zones rurales tout en les célébrant sous le thème Femmes rurales face aux défis des changements climatiques et l'accès aux ressources productives. Le ministre de la Femme et de la Famille présidera les manifestations le vendredi 17 octobre prochain. En politique, Issa Tirouma Bakari, candidat à l'élection présidentielle du 12 octobre dernier, s'autoproclame vainqueur du scrutin. Le ministre de l'administration territoriale condamne ce qu'il qualifie d'imposture, le comportement irresponsable et irrépublicain. Une situation qui fait réagir plusieurs autres candidats à l'élection présidentielle. Sur la scène internationale, l'ancien Premier ministre kenyan Raila Odinga décède à l'âge de 80 ans. Mobilisateur politique et figure emblématique de la politique kenyane, Odinga s'est présenté sans succès à 5 reprises à l'élection présidentielle. En sport football, les Lions indomptables vont devoir passer par les barrages en novembre prochain. Une Coupe du Monde 2026 mitigé pour le Cameroun attendu parmi les qualifiés directs.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the package we had for you this afternoon. The 2 p.m. news was technically assisted by Romeo Ekume. Brian Bida and Boris Tedomo took care of the cameras for our social media production. News production, Biwa Brian. Script editing and editorial coaching, Abel Bela Samari. Central coordination, Roger Kiek, our station manager. And general supervision by the Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel. For news editing and presentation, my name is Mapalazita. Thank you all for your kind attention. And you have an interesting afternoon in the company of programs over Royal FM. Up next is Sports Hour. Biwa Brian.
Mapalazita.
Sports are Cameroon is now talking about the if and only ifs again.
No, but this one is way more than ifs.
Okay, this one is way above the ifs.
No. I think it's a little bit subtle even.
Subtle?
Yes. I mean, if we just win the games, there are no longer so many probabilities.
We did not win the games to qualify.
Yeah,
it's now
initially it used to be if Cameroon beats Cape Verde and Eswatini
and then if Nigeria beats,
but now it's only if we win. So the if concerns only us. It's no longer an if that concerns other persons. So I think that it is a subdued moment now.
But
the ifs are no longer many.
The looking down fast, as we say in French, the other teams are not easy, right? Too.
Yeah, Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Well, there's a possibility we would meet them. I think it should be easy for Cameroon.
Okay, let me stay positive. Let me stay positive. Impossible is not Cameroonian. So we'll keep saying, go Lions, go, bring us more victory. Brian, is that all we'll be talking about in sports?
For sure. We are going to be looking at Cameroon's that game against Angola. I mean, from the errors we have done in that game, because a lot of persons have complained that game was too problematic, be it from the tactical perspective or